Wrestling fans around the corner, around the world, I'm Dan Marty.
Bill Eadie, Axe Demolition.
You guys are in for a treat. Demolition Axe is back on a brand new Wrestling Insiders. Stand by.
Tickets are on sale now for our 20th anniversary Back to the 80s and 90s WrestleFest Birthday Bash, Saturday, November the 13th at Memorial Hall in Melrose, Massachusetts.
This is Mick Foley.
This is Harley Race.
This is Shelton Benjamin.
This is Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff.
This is the Monster Abyss.
And this is Daniel Bryan.
This is JBL, and you're watching the MWF.
Be there live.
All right, wrestling fans, welcome back. Bill and I have enjoyed ourselves so much, we decided to take a break, freshen up. We actually changed the clothes.
That's right.
We're looking pretty sharp.
Well, we got evicted from the studio for about a day.
Yeah, they had enough of us.
Yes.
They had enough of us. But I tell you this, we put a picture out on social media of the two of us, and Sue sent me a text message. She said, try and keep the ladies away from Bill. He's looking so good.
God, yeah.
So, you know what, Sue, I'm going to do my best. I'm going to do my best. It's a tough job, but somebody's got to do it. Nobody wants me, though. That's a different story for a different time, though. But as we continue our stroll through memory lane, we've been talking about one of the great years, I think, in WWF history, 1987. It's also the same time Demolition came to fruition. You had Randy Cully originally debut as Smash. That only lasted one set of TV tapings, and it was C'est La Vie. It was Enter Barry Darsow into the picture, which was the ultimate success for the duo. And then also that spring, it was Bye-Bye Luscious Johnny Valiant as the manager of Demolition, and Enter Mr. Fuji into the picture. And I think that created that perfect trio that the fans remember and love so much even today.
Yeah, I'm not sure that many fans, other than the ones that do a little research, were aware of Johnny being our manager, because it was only for 2 days. So.
I remember, no, Johnny was with you guys for a little longer than that.
Well, I mean, 2 television days, and then a couple events, probably a month or so.
I think Fuji did. I don't think Fuji switched over until after WrestleMania.
Oh, really?
So I think Johnny was with you, and when Barry was smashed, Johnny was with you for at least a couple sets of TVs.
Yeah. Well,
so I remember it as a little guy. I was disappointed because, you know, as a little kid, the face paint, the masks and everything, I thought it was so cool. I was disappointed you weren't on the WrestleMania 3 card, but they were still building you up at that point.
Right.
There was really no program for you at that point,
right.
Even with all the great tag teams that were in the picture at that point. Couple of tag teams, you know, fans asked to throw you away that you didn't get a chance to work because you were heels at that point. Maybe you would have had an interest, or maybe a thought, or maybe no interest. But Iron Sheik and Nikolai Volkov, they were on the WrestleMania 3 card. Could you have seen a Demolition Sheiky Baby Volkov match?
I could have probably seen it, visualized it, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure it would have gone very well.
Couple of crowbars.
Well, no, their styles were so erratic, and I think it probably would have been a mistake on the company's part, because we probably would have been the baby faces from the get-go, and they didn't want that.
Let me ask you this, before I go back to the original question. Was there ever a time when the adult male audience didn't like you guys?
Maybe at the very beginning.
Really? Okay.
But after a little exposure, I think that they sort of took a shining to us.
Because, like I said, as we talked in one of the previous episodes, you guys debuted at the old Boston Garden in May of '87, about 4 or 5 months in from when you debuted, at least visually on TV. And, you know, the men, they love seeing the kick-ass Demolition come out. So from that point of view, to me, Demolition was always over in that way, at least to that demographic, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Another heel team that you never obviously had a chance to work that might have been interesting, Don Morocco and Cowboy Bob Orton.
Yeah, that would have been good, because both of them are technical type wrestlers, so we could have made an adjustment there. Yeah, that would have been a good contest.
Bob's one of my favorites. We've had him many times over the years. A lot of fun, a lot of laughs.
Yeah.
We've done a few WrestleManias with Bob. Don Morocco is another one that was one of my favorites. It's a shame that it's so difficult for him to travel back to the mainlands from his beautiful home out in Sunset Beach, Hawaii, or wherever in Hawaii he may be right now. But it's not a bad way to retire and ride off into the sunset, though.
No, it's not.
And another one, it was, funny enough, Johnny V's team, the Dream Team, whether it be the Valentine and Beefcake version or the Valentine and Bravo version.
Yeah, you know, later on, as the years passed, I think we had a couple matches with them.
With the new Dream Team, Valentine and Bravo?
With Honky Tonk and...
oh, when they were Rhythm and Blues.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
was he their manager at that time?
no, that was Jimmy Hart.
Oh, okay.
Do you think Demolition Dream Team would have had any interest, any appeal? Would you have enjoyed a series of matches with them?
Which team are you referring to again?
Either version of the Dream Team, Valentine and Beefcake or Valentine and Bravo.
Yeah, I think we could have worked a series with both teams, you know. Of course, I had many matches with Bravo as a mass superstar in Montreal. So I was acquainted with his work, and he was good. Yeah, I mean, I think we could have worked. And there again, it's a shame. I think we worked with Valentine and Beefcake, or maybe it was Valentine and Honky Tonk, after we had made the switch to as babyfaces.
You had many with Rhythm and Blues, yeah. We'll get to that point as the time goes on, but the fans had asked that question. Another one that was thrown out there that I found kind of interesting was, with the fans, you noted specifically that you had a 14-week deal in Japan. What was it about WWF that made you want to leave the deal that you had going on in Japan as a mass superstar?
Well,
was it financially worth it to you?
it was about the same. I mean, I had a pretty lucrative, but I just wanted to give it a chance. That's how I got into professional wrestling, to be honest with you. I got into it with one foot in education and one foot in wrestling, mainly on the weekends. And I didn't want to be down the road 10 years and say, well, what if I'd have tried it? I tried it, it was successful, I tried it, it didn't work out, but I tried it. Same thing with coming in full-time as Demolition. I thought that it would do well, and I already knew that if it didn't, I still had the connections and the commitments to go back to Japan as mass superstar. So it was actually a win-win.
Was Inoki or New Japan, were they disappointed that you decided to go to WWF full-time?
I think so, yeah. Mm-hmm. But they didn't hold it against me because I went back to Japan after that.
So you always had a fallback plan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Had a real good relationship. And as a matter of fact, I've been back to Japan for a couple series of signings.
Oh, really?
Stan and myself and a couple of guys. We did some money for raised some money for the tsunami victims.
Oh, how nice.
And worked with New Japan, so they sponsored us.
Do they have any direct flights from Atlanta to Tokyo?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Wow, that makes it a little easier then, right? Oh, you're getting our first signal from our buddy and the wrestling fans. Unbelievable. We are already flying through this episode. Right now, we're going to take a brief time out. Again, we've talked about all the different ways you can help this show stay on the air. Check out the eBay store. Great merchandise like we're going to showcase in a moment. But again, things that don't cost a penny. Give us a thumbs up. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's free. There's over 2,000 free videos. That's a lot of work. That's a lot of work. No wonder why Linda Moratti wants nothing to do with me. I'm always making videos. And of course, you can share the link to this interview and all our great interviews across social media, whether it be Facebook, Twitter, Reddit, Facebook wrestling groups, wrestling websites. Let folks know what we're doing. There are millions of lapsed fans that have no idea this show exists. Once they find us, I continue to believe they're going to absolutely love us. So right now, check out some of this great merchandise. We'll be back in just a moment with more Wrestling Insiders with Bill Eadie, Demolition Axe.
Wrestling fans in the Northeast and beyond, the countdown is on to Boston Wrestling MWF's 20th anniversary extravaganza, Back to the 90s WrestleFest, Saturday night, November the 13th, at Memorial Hall in Melrose, Massachusetts. Live wrestling, an autograph photo fan fest, VIP exclusive Q&A, and more as we kick off our annual Paul Bearer Holiday Headlocks Toy Drive. You'll see and meet 90s legends featuring guests such as WWE Hall of Famers Hacksaw, Jim Duggan, and Bob Backlund, Marty, Jannetty, the Doctor of Style Slick, the Berzerker, the Second Doink the Clown, Duke the Dumpster Droese, and Portuguese Man of War Aldo Montoya, plus JTG of Cryme Time, John Cena Sr., and our Vice President Oscar from Men on a Mission. VIP packages and tickets are on sale now at bostonwrestling.com. We'll see you live November 13th in Melrose.
Wrestling fans around the corner, around the world, I'm Dan Marty.
And I'm Mr. USA WWE Hall of Famer Tony Atlas.
The road to WrestleMania has begun. Wrestling fans are looking to add to their man caves. You got to see what we have in the eBay store.
Check it out.
Arguably the greatest professional wrestler of all time. Get this limited edition collector's autograph print personally signed by two-time WWE Hall of Famer Nature Boy Ric Flair, inscribed 16 times for each of his recognized World Championship reigns. One of only 50 made direct from our friends at WWE. Also signed by original artist Rob Schamberger. Help keep wrestling legends working. Get this awesome Ric Flair collectible for your wrestling collection now. Wrestling fans, especially here in the Boston area, we want to thank our great friends at Red Rose for their support for all of our charitable endeavors and programming efforts. Red Rose is 2 years young and extremely thankful for all the support they've had from our neighbors here in Melrose and beyond for an amazing first 2 years. Red Rose thanks Melrose and all of the first responders who have fought the good fight and have never given up hope during these unprecedented times. We did it together. Follow Red Rose on Facebook for their anniversary special, facebook.com/Red Rose Melrose. You'll be glad you did. Open until 2 a.m. Red Rose will give you fresh, piping hot, mouth-watering food that'll put an ear-to-ear smile on even the toughest critic's face. Check out their full menu online at redrosema.com or give them a call, 781-620-1889.
All right, wrestling fans, welcome back. We continue to talk 1987. We continue to talk Japan, WWF, and all those great things in between. Just to touch back based upon the note about New Japan, you said you've been back a few times, which I think is great that they still have that respect for the legends, you, Stan Hansen,
they do, yeah.
so on and so forth. Where you noted that it was pretty much equal as far as what you were earning between WWF and New Japan. Ultimately, do you look back on it as if it was worth it, where New Japan was only a 14-week per year commitment and WWF was probably 300
Well,
days?
I know we made, I'm going on a week-to-week basis.
Okay.
We made, of course, more money in the year long with
Okay,
WWF.
so annually you wound up making more in WWF.
Yeah.
Could you have done more weeks in New Japan than the 14?
Well, they only have about a 24-week season.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
And sometimes maybe 30. But you don't want to go over and burn yourself out either.
You don't want to overexpose yourself.
And unless you want to move over there, which I had no intentions of doing, but I always had a real good relationship with the company, and Inoki and Fujinami and Sakaguchi. All of my thoughts and memories of Japan, wrestling, the fans, the people, the food are all positive. I mean, I really enjoyed my time there. I knew what I was going to make from day one to the last day of the tour. We always knew when we were coming back. You knew you were going to get first-class treatment in transportation, hotels, restaurants. It was a dream come true. So,
You know, I now have two things on my wrestling bucket list. The first one was I always have wanted to go to Japan, and maybe it almost sounds petty, but I want one of those Rivera Steakhouse
Oh, yeah.
chocolate. That is on my bucket list of things to do. Now, my second one is I would like to do something with AEW. I've worked with every major promotion that's been alive since we've started doing what we do. I would like to do something with AEW before it's all said and done. But I've always wanted to go to Japan, I think because of the respect they have for the industry, much more so than here in the United States. I think I'd really like it.
Oh, you'd love it. And any true wrestling fan that goes to Japan, Tokyo, has to visit Rivera's. That's like coming to Boston, not going to Bunker Hill, right?
Right. I remember all the boys when they'd go over the first time and they'd come back with those jackets, and I'd say, "Oh, especially the silver one with the black on the back. You got to get me booked, Bill. You got to get me booked." It's just that is something I think I truly enjoy. And for all the young guys, I love it every time they get booked, even if it's on a smaller promotion over in Japan, because I think it's a great experience for them, not just wrestling-wise, but just for the culture, you know?
Oh, yeah. And to experience the respect by the fans. I mean, when you said respect, it is. They've seen all the top talent from all over the world. England, Germany, South Africa, United States, Canada, you name it, they've been there. So, great fans.
When you're, again, we're really popping out of the WWF sequence of things that the fans have been relentless on as far as us trying to get through, but did you ever get to know Vader over there?
No, I was never on any tours with Vader.
Oh, really? Okay.
Most of the time, not boasting, but I was one of the headliners. So he would have been on a tour headlining, myself or Andre or Stan Hansen. They'd have a couple headliners on each tour, and then mid-card guys and underneath guys. So I was usually there with Andre or Tiger Jeet Singh or Murdoch, guys like that.
I like the way they introduced him in New Japan, where before they even knew it was going to be Leon White, they came up with the concept for this character. And then to have him in his debut, just absolutely annihilate Inoki in just a couple of minutes. What a way to get a guy over as a top heel, you know?
Yeah.
I was just interested to know if you had ever worked him. Leon is another one that we've had here in the studio. But as we roll back into WWF 1987 to put smiles on your faces, more newcomers that came into the company. I don't know if you were familiar with this gentleman before he made his WWF debut, but he came in the spring of '87 for a big run with Hogan right off the bat almost. The one-man gang, George Gray.
Oh yeah, I met Gang previous to that when I was in Georgia as Mass Superstar, and I had gone over to Mid-South where he was working at the time. I was going back and forth between Junkyard Dog and Mr. Wrestling 2. And Gang was popular there because he was a heel, but I was impressed with his ability. Yeah, he had a good run.
And he must have been because he was kind of young in WWF. He must have been really young when you first were around him.
Yeah, he was real young. Big, impressive guy.
He's someone I'd really like to get on one of these talk shows, but it's hard for him to travel due to his size. When he makes appearances and such, he's in a van and he's doing the driving, you know.
Yeah,
so
he's had some health problems.
Yeah.
The past 4 or 5 years now. We see him periodically. I bumped into him in Charlotte, and we did a couple events where I think in Florida, and of course in New Orleans. So he doesn't, it's difficult to travel. I can understand that.
At that size, yeah. I mean, to try and get on a plane, even in first class for a guy that size, that's...
Yeah.
No, I know from all of my worldly travels, but I mean, even when I've sat in first class, it's nice, but I mean, it's not like you're in a lazy boy at home, relaxed, you know what I mean?
No.
And Gang has probably got to have, I'm 6'3", so he's probably got to be at least, what, 6'6", 6'7"?
Probably 6'6", 6'5" at least.
Yeah.
And
a good at least 100 pounds, if not more, heavier than me.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that'd be a tight squeeze for him,
Yeah.
even in first class. But we hope we get the gang someday. Maybe when we're on one of our road shoots like we did down at Wrestle House in Tampa. Maybe if we do it in Dallas next year and he decides to, I believe he's in Louisiana, right?
He's in Baton Rouge.
Baton Rouge, okay, Baton Rouge. Maybe we can sit down and talk with him because he's another that's had a great career. Every time, Bill, we lose one of the brothers, as we've talked about so many times, not only does it pull on the strings of my heart because I'm disappointed, but I say we miss the chance to tell their story.
Yeah.
Because as we've noted before on this show, I hate to sound like a broken record, but WWE bought the libraries they bought. They're going to tell history the way they want to tell it, but that doesn't mean there aren't a lot of different points of views. That doesn't mean there aren't a lot of different superstars and legends that had great careers that the fans would enjoy hearing about. Likely there's probably never going to be a Demolition 3 DVD set put out by WWE. There's probably...
I don't think so.
No. There's probably never going to be a 3-disc one-man gang documentary DVD put out. So that's why I think these shows that we do are not only fun and interesting, but I think they're important because I think not just years from now, but even decades from now, there is a history that sometimes can be more realistic than how WWE paints it, I think, to be fair.
Well, one of the things that you're hitting the subject, now that they are aligned with Peacock.
Yeah.
Peacock is eliminating a lot of the content for a number of reasons, but those are all stories that actually took place,
Right.
that people are never going to know about,
Right.
from whenever they issue and reissue. So you're right. I mean, you got to get behind the scenes, not just what's on the video, because they're blocking a lot of the video off. So.
And even the history pieces they tell, they can be very selective in how they do so. I know by the time this airs, it'll be probably a few months back, but on those A&E documentaries that they were putting out weekly on WWE superstars each week, a lot of people, I haven't seen it yet, but a lot of people said they did a real hatchet job on Randy Savage in the video they released to him, as opposed to Steve Austin and Roddy Piper, which were much more friendly to the human being. So I don't know. That's why in a perfect world, we'd have enough fan support where we could get everybody that's still alive and kicking through this studio, because I think everybody's got a story. Like I said, the Marty Jannetty theory. Both of us are sitting here, we're looking at the water, and you ask us to point at the moon. You see the moon, it's right there. I see the moon, it's right there. We're both looking at the same moon.
Isn't it over there?
The perspective is just a little different. Just a little different.
It's
like I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I was talking about those biographies. I was flipping, when we finished yesterday, I went back to the hotel and I was flipping through and they had the Shawn Michaels on. And I didn't watch the whole thing, but I was there and I didn't realize that Shawn Michaels had so many demons.
Really?
I didn't realize that he was into drugs and...
wow, really?
I mean, I knew he was taking stuff.
Yeah.
But listening to Marty doing some commentary and listening to Shawn, it's a wonder he's alive.
Yeah. Both.
I mean, he was
both of them.
he was a Jake Roberts in disguise, I guess, because Jake really suffered from addiction, and I'm sure he still does. If you don't get over it, but I was taken back by the honesty that Shawn was mentioning. I mean, he was doing, and then Triple H was mentioning how he was babysitting him and waking up every 2 hours to check on him to see if he was alive. So it still doesn't discount some of the things and how he treated people, but I have a better understanding of what he was going through. So.
Well, you know what? Religion came into his life in a big way. I'm interested to see that biography too. Out of curiosity, how did Marty come off?
Marty came off with honesty. I mean, he didn't sugarcoat his participation. Mm-hmm. But it's just, it came across that Shawn couldn't deal with the pressure of holding the championship belt. That's how it came across. And he fell back into drugs to cover up his insecurity.
It was a tough position for him to be put in. He was given the belt, as the company was on the decline, where WCW was so hot,
Exactly.
And I'll say this, at the same time, if you go back to that period in 1996, I would argue this tooth and nail with you or just about anybody. If you look at the quality and the variety of his pay-per-view main event title defenses when he was on top in that era, I don't think I've ever seen anyone better. People can say Flair. Flair's matches, they had a lot of repetition to them. Michaels had such a great variety with every pay-per-view opponent that he had.
Yeah.
And to me, I don't think he was the biggest star by any stretch of the imagination. He wasn't the biggest draw. He wasn't the greatest promo. But if you look at the actual body of work and the variety of work, he's, to me, in the argument, is one of the best of all time.
Yeah, he had exciting matches. I have to agree with you. I was just, being there at the time when he and Marty were there. Of course, there again, we traveled by ourselves, right. Fuji and I and Barry. But to see that in that documentary and to have him state that he was insecure and they were contemplating making a switch because the draw was going down. I mean, I just was alarmed what he was going through and why he turned to drugs. So, I mean, I've never experienced that kind of depression or anything in my life. Thank God.
Thank God. Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Well, for him, it's great that he, whether it's religion or whatever it may have been, that got him to turn the corner. And
yeah.
Now that he's doing better in life, that's a positive thing. He's what's the terminology they use for him at the NXT Performance Center? I think he's the final coach you train with before you go to the main roster. And I think what a better guy.
Yeah.
I mean, they have some high quality people at the Performance Center down in Orlando as it is, but to have Shawn Michaels as the last guy you work with day in, day out to get you ready to go to that main roster, I think that's, I mean, I don't think the talent at the Performance Center in NXT realize how lucky they are, almost being paid to learn how to become true professional wrestlers, whether they're someone they've taken from a different sport off of the street, whether it's someone they found internationally, whether it's an independent wrestler that they've taken that's been trained the wrong way, because I know there's been some guys from up here that have gone down there and they've learned so much once they've been immersed in that system, what I mean? I only wish that WWE would open more of them. Like you'll see in baseball, there's so many different levels. You have single A, double A, triple A before you get to the major league.
Right.
It's like WWE has its triple A, but where's the double A and the single A? You know what I mean? I'd like to see them expand it even more so. But you know what? As time goes on, Triple H is a very, very, very smart guy. I think he's got a lot of great ideas. And, Vince McMahon is aging. As time goes on and Triple H has more power, maybe we'll see more. I don't think you can do enough development to create great talent.
No, you can't. I mean, you have to be able to replace the talent that's going out the door.
Yeah.
With talent, not necessarily right away coming in the door, but in the living room for a couple months or a year. So. And some of that doesn't work out. You can look at a guy and say, this is going to work out, and they develop, and for one reason or another, we've talked about it many times, the fans are the true judges. They're the Supreme Court.
Yep.
They've seen more talent over the years than we can even think of. And they can see good talent, mediocre talent, poor talent, excellent talent. So,
and they're going to let you know.
They're the judges. They buy the tickets, they watch the show.
All right, wrestling fans, again, great conversation with my longtime friend Bill Eadie. We'll be back with more Wrestling Insiders after this brief timeout.
Wrestling fans in the Northeast and beyond, the countdown is on to Boston Wrestling MWF's 20th anniversary extravaganza, back to the 90s WrestleFest, Saturday night, November the 13th, at Memorial Hall in Melrose, Massachusetts. Live wrestling, an autograph photo fan fest, VIP exclusive Q&A, and more as we kick off our annual Paul Bearer Holiday Headlocks Toy Drive. You'll see and meet 90s legends featuring guests such as WWE Hall of Famers Hacksaw, Jim Duggan, and Bob Backlund, Marty Jannetty, the Doctor of Style Slick, the Berzerker, the Second Doink the Clown, Duke the Dumpster Droese, and Portuguese Man of War Aldo Montoya, plus JTG of Cryme Time, John Cena Sr., and our Vice President Oscar from Men on a Mission. VIP packages and tickets are on sale now at bostonwrestling.com. We'll see you live November 13th in Melrose.
Wrestling fans around the corner, around the world, I'm Dan Marty.
And I'm John Cena Sr.
Johnny, the momentum here in Boston Wrestling continues as we continue to build and build and build. The fans want to know, how do we help? We subscribe to the Patreon, but we see all the great merchandise on that set. Coronavirus may have killed the nightlife, especially for someone like Marty, but our acclaimed eBay store is open 24/7 around the world.
Wow. Check it out.
Support Wrestling Insiders and keep wrestling legends working on eBay. At Survivor Series, it was champion versus champion as WWE champion Drew McIntyre battled Universal champion Roman Reigns with Paul Heyman. Get this 11x14 poster autographed by all three men. Limited edition, number 42 of only 50, with authentication hologram on the back of the poster itself. Comes with a mystery autographed 8x10 photo and an on-air shout-out from WWE Hall of Famer Mr. USA Tony Atlas on Wrestling Insiders at your house. Get it now.
Cheer. Why, hello. I would ask what was on your mind, but I already know. You want to know what has got my beard looking oh so majestic. And I'll tell you, it's sexy as hell beard care. Coconut oil, vitamin E oil, almond oil, both sweet and bitter, shea butter, it's all natural. Yes, JTG has actually come out with a high quality product. So support your boy by going to sahbeardcare.com and take one step closer to becoming sexy as hell. Cheer. Ooh, cheer. You know?
Wrestling fans, welcome back again. We implore you to visit the Boston Wrestling eBay store. It is open 24/7, no matter what the heck is going on in your part of the world due to coronavirus. You can find the link in the description box below. If you are watching the premiere of this fantastic talk show, share your thoughts in the premiere box, the chat box. I know Slick Rick B and Maria Davis and Tina are moderating and keeping an eye on things for us, but we're always interested in your thoughts. If you're watching this program after the fact, just leave your thoughts in the comment section below. We really do read them. We value your input because as Bill and I have said, you guys are the ultimate boss when it comes to what we do. Back to the World Wrestling Federation in 1987 as we've drifted all over the place in this episode.
That's been a long year.
It's been a long, I know, think how many episodes we've done, and we've basically hit the spring. May 26, 1987, a day of infamy in WWE history, especially with one of the people involved in my life. Hacksaw Jim Duggan arrives in New Jersey, ready for a house show, wherever it may have been that night. Sheiky Baby showed up at the same time looking for a ride. Even though they were in a heated feud, Duggan was kind enough to let the Sheik ride with him. And for whatever reason, the police pulled them over. They found a little bit of cannabis belonging to Jim Duggan. And with Sheiky Baby, they found more than cannabis in his bag. There was some of that white powdered stuff. And off they went to jail.
A misjudgment of friendship, I guess. I remember that situation. I don't think we were in the town, that particular town they were going to, but we certainly heard about it. And then I've since then seen comments that Jim made at various interviews and things. And you're right. I mean, Sheiky Baby Sheiky Baby blamed Duggan. He put all the blame right on Duggan. Right? He didn't own up to anything. And I think Duggan, at least from what he was saying on the interviews, thought that was it. I mean, he was finished. I don't know. I wasn't aware of what Sheik was thinking, but Sheik probably.
I don't think Sheik was aware.
Sheik
of what
probably
Sheik was
figured
thinking.
if he blamed Duggan, it wasn't going to affect him. So.
Well, the Sheik was kind of promised a job for life when he didn't break Hogan's leg in that championship match, when he dropped the title to him in MSG, when Vern Gagne made that offer of $100,000 to him to break Hogan's leg and take the title to Minnesota. So maybe he thought if he came up with enough excuses like you thought, maybe he'd be able to dance out of it. But that wasn't just a little small situation in New Jersey. That was on the news all over.
That was
because
nationwide.
Not only was it top talent from a top form of entertainment, it was exposing the business in a way. In 1987, there was still people that believed to some extent in what was going on, but to see two rivals, I thought it was a great feud where Duggan was kind of the newcomer. We didn't get UWF Mid-South Watts' territory up here in Boston on TV, so I really only knew of Jim Duggan through reading about him through the wrestling magazines, but I was excited to see him come in. And then you have this great patriotic American guy with a cool 2x4 and a great chant that people still, oh! I mean, even on house shows you were on that Duggan probably wasn't at, people were chanting, oh.
Yeah.
And to have him feud with Sheik and Volkov, I thought it was a good program. And then to have the two of them together like that exposed, I was like, because I remember I used to argue with my dad when I was a kid. He, and I hated him for it, but he exposed the business to me. Oh, that's not real, blah, 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 blah. I said, well, look at some of the things they do. How can that not hurt? And as I came to learn, it did hurt.
It does,
and that's why I hate the term, the F word, when it comes to wrestling. I think that's an insult to everyone that's ever gotten in the ring and done it.
Yeah.
Choreographed, I'd go with that. Teamwork, I'd go with that.
Yeah.
But I think the guys' bodies go through and you can attest to it far more than I could, your bodies probably go through as much abuse as any other professional athlete.
Oh, yes.
If not more.
Yes. And you don't try to explain it away. You just, people, when they used to ask us, the first thing I'd say is, how many matches have you had?
Yeah.
And until you've had a match and been injured, don't pass judgment, so.
What does the word fake mean to you when someone says it to you? Do you get insulted?
No.
Do you roll your eyes? Do you shrug your shoulders?
No, I know that their idea of fake is that it's predetermined, but they don't understand what goes into a match, not just the match itself. Travel to get to the town. Go to training, gym work. So if it's a punch they missed, well, they missed it. I mean, it wasn't fake, it was a missed punch. But to say that it's totally fake, there again, until you get in the ring and step across from the guy, you're not sure what the hell that guy's gonna do. You're not sure if he's pissed off because he's having arguments with his wife, or he's behind in bills, or someone promised him something. So you got to deal with that personality all the time. You have to be prepared
for anything
to protect yourself. So predetermined, yeah, it's predetermined. But sometimes it's not. Sometimes you and I are working in a match and you say, hell with it, I'm not going to lose to him. That happens a lot. So.
Well, I find it highly insulting, and the one misconception that I hate is, it's a big trampoline that they're on. Oh yeah, big trampoline.
It's
what about
this,
some of those boxing rings you used to work on?
It's this with a pad on it, a 1-inch pad. It gives a little bit for sound, but when you do it for multiple years, say you take slams for 12 years, you feel them. You know, you take a turnbuckle for 12 years, you feel it.
I think it may have been done to maybe teach me respect for wrestling, but I told you, I was relatively young when I got involved. I was only 13, but they took me in the ring, and they actually body slammed me in the ring.
Oh, yeah.
And I saw stars.
Yeah.
I was, holy shit. Because, you know, again, you have everybody telling you, oh, it's fake, it's not real. But to me, there was always, there were certain parts of it to me that I didn't think couldn't be, quote unquote, fake. Now, like you said, sometimes you could see punches and things, the stomping of the feet and things like that. But overall, there's too much athleticism involved in it
Well,
for it to be fake.
There's too many guys. Look at Mick Foley,
Yeah.
Sabu.
Yeah.
There's a number of guys that take everything to the extreme. New Jack.
Yeah.
You know, I
Look
saw
at those balcony dives that
I
he
saw
would do.
New Jack. One of the first times I met him, we were in Marietta, Georgia, and I was being introduced as one of the local legends or something. And I'm watching the match. He's up on the balcony, and he took a leap off the balcony about 20 feet onto a table. There's no way that you can protect yourself.
And what a
And
chance for error.
I'm looking down the hallway. There's 4 ambulances parked in the parking lot. 3 of them had guys in them from previous matches.
Really?
Yes.
Jesus, what the hell kind of an event were you at?
It was
Was it Demolition Derby?
No, it was
pun
some kind
intended,
of
but
it was some kind of extreme
hardcore type event?
extreme hardcore pay-per-view.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't involved in it, but
You didn't work.
no, I just
Yeah.
got introduced at intermission.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, you know, it's just one of those things that irritates me, I guess. You know what I
Well,
mean? I wish
let
everybody
it.
had the respect for it that we do,
Yeah.
but they don't. And
Don't.
it is what it is. It's not going to change. And I don't think the way WWE presents it nowadays helps the cause, but that's a different story for a
Well,
different time.
they never protected it for the simple reason that they wanted 25 cents off of each ticket. I mean,
when
I
they
lost,
came out,
I lost a lot of respect for the company at that time for a quarter on each ticket. So,
we're going to get there because that's another one of those situations that
yeah.
I have a strong thought on too, but like I said, we'll get there as the timeline, the chronological life of you continues. But after that big arrest with Demolition, Cheeky Baby, we fast forward a few days to...
Not Demolition Sheik.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I say Demolition?
Hacksaw Sheik.
Jim Duggan and the Sheik. I apologize.
Yeah.
We want to clarify that.
We weren't even
it
there.
It was Jim Duggan and the Iron Sheik, not Demolition, that were involved in that scenario. But the next set of TV tapings, Vince McMahon has a very rare all-talent meeting. Everybody's called together as a group. Any memories of that where Vince said that Duggan and Sheik were gone and if
For life.
drug testing was
Forever.
coming? And
They're gone forever. They'll never work here again. You'll never see them here again.
And Duggan was back before the end of the year.
And I can remember the guys looking around with the. It's all based on if you're going to put people in the seats.
So the guys didn't take...
Nobody bought it.
Nobody bought it.
Nobody bought it.
Was there concern now that the drug testing was going to be coming for the cocaine?
Well, there was concern about that for guys that were
On it, yeah.
on cocaine. If you weren't smoking or on cocaine or other narcotics, it didn't affect Barry and I.
Now, did they test for weed back then, or was it just coke?
I think it was later on they tested for weed. But
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
mean, and now you look back on it, it's almost like, my God, with what all the guys were doing, you'd almost want them to light up a joint if that was going to make them feel a little better or relax them compared to, look at when the weed testing started becoming a big thing and the fines came into the play, look at all of the prescription drug pill problems that they didn't test for that killed so many of the
Well,
Brotherhood, but that's further down the road.
all of the testing was selective.
Right.
I don't know how many times Barry and I got tested. Every time there was a random test, we got random tested because they knew they weren't going to find any drugs. But they didn't test guys sitting 2 chairs from us because they knew, well, maybe they're going to find something.
They knew who to pick a lot of
Well,
the
of
times.
course.
They knew who to pick when it came time for the testing.
So it was a farce.
Yeah.
It was a PR farce. It made them look good.
And they needed to.
Yeah, it made
And they needed to
them
in that
look good,
situation.
and
It was and again, we can get into the even bigger scandals that would come a few years down the road as time goes on in these interviews. But at that point, it was a very wholesome company. You're selling Hulk Hogan, say your prayers, take your vitamins, pray to God, and so on and so forth. Train, and now you have two of the top guys in the talent, two of the top talents in the company getting busted for cocaine and weed. It wasn't a very good look to a company that was action figures, that was cereal, that was T-shirts, that was posters. So if nothing else, even if it wasn't sincere, it was a very wise move to put that information out to the media that they were going to do those types of tests.
And you know what?
Things like that.
I think, and it's nothing against, Jim's a good friend of mine, and so Sheik. If they
Both
would
are good guys
if
in
they
their
would
own
have
way.
stuck to their guns and not brought them back, they wouldn't have a problem. They wouldn't have had a massive problem later on, because the guys would have said, "Oh my goodness, they got rid of those guys." That's my feeling. But if you say,
You think it really would have sent a strong
I
message?
think it would have sent a strong message.
Well,
but
you know what?
the
Now-
message that the guys got,
Well, you might get a little vacation.
yeah.
Yeah. I never thought about it. Again, we talk about looking at the moon, different perspective.
Yeah.
I never thought about it from that point of view. Maybe you're right.
Well, I'm basing my experience from playing and dealing with coaches over the years, and coaches that had a line you don't cross. You can go up to that line. You go over the line, you're done. You're not playing anymore. And even when I was coaching, our head coach had limits. And if you don't abide by the rules, you're done. We had very few problems because people knew, the kids knew, the parents knew. I knew when I was playing, I can do certain things, but I can't do that if I want to play ball. And we're not dealing with idiots. We're dealing with adults.
Some
They're
idiots.
they're going to bring them back in 6 weeks or 9 months or whatever, and they did. So that reinforces the fact, well, I can do it. They're going to give me a couple months off. But if I never brought them back, I better straighten up. That's my thought.
It's a very interesting opinion. I never thought about it from that point of view. But let me ask you this. In the moment, do you think McMahon was sincere in his threat? Or do you think he was just trying to put a little scare into the guys?
I think he was trying to put a little scare into the guys. He knew that Sheik was going to make him money. He knew Hacksaw was going to make him money. And it's all about making money. I mean, that's some money-making business.
Yeah.
I can't fault Vince for that. But don't make a bold statement like that and then backtrack on the statement.
Yeah. A great way to put it.
Because he gets rid of lesser-known people or less productive people for a lot less.
Right. Right.
You got to have a standard. If you do this, you're done. You do this, you're done. You do this part, we'll support you. But this guy's the top guy, oh, this guy's the middle guy, you're done. It still goes on.
Oh, yeah.
So,
You take a look at that roster on TV right now, and you wonder sometimes, but that's a different story for a different time, I guess. It was a very interesting set of TV tapings, along with the big scandal that was going on with Duggan and Sheik, this being the first time everybody was together at the same building. You also had what a lot of folks don't even remember happened because it never was televised, but it was the one-day debut of Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty, the Midnight Rockers, coming over from the AWA.
right.
They wound up hanging out, I believe, at the Superstars taping. They worked a match at the Challenge taping, but they had a wild night in Buffalo, New York. After that first set of TV tapings, Marty and I think, no, it was Shawn and Jimmy Jack Funk got into it at a bar,
Yeah.
and he broke a glass
It was a
over his
bar
head.
at the airport.
Yeah.
We were there we had a meal there, Barry and I.
Oh, you witnessed it?
Fuji. I didn't witness
Oh,
it.
okay.
We had left,
Uh-huh.
and they were getting pretty rowdy. A lot of drinking, a lot of alcohol was being consumed. And we went back to the hotel because we had to get up early. And then the next day we heard what happened, yeah. And that's on that biography.
Oh, they talk about
Yeah.
that? Do you think it was smart for WWF to cut ties with them at that point, after one day?
Well, there again, if they would have held to their decision, they'd have a lot less problems. But they didn't know them. We're gonna banish you. How long? Right?
They were gone for just about a year
Yeah.
at that point. Do you think, based upon the way you had engaged with them, do you think they had matured at all over that year they were gone after going back to AWA, or do you think, I mean, we know
I think they had-
it's no secret that the partying continued, but
Yeah.
do you think they came back with a better focus towards what they were trying to do at that point, or?
I think they had matured a little bit in their physique, in their work, but as far as their attitude, no.
Really?
No. And there again, we weren't around those
Right.
guys.
Yeah, you weren't traveling with them,
No.
right?
And but you hear a lot of things in the locker room,
Oh, yeah.
and you know that the activity that they got fired for was still
Nightly.
undergoing
Nightly.
nightly, which led to Shawn's problems in subsequent years,
And Marty.
and Marty.
I mean, you know, and I love Marty to death. He's one of our regular co-hosts, but look at the problems that poor guy is.
Yeah,
having.
yeah.
I mean, you know, his quote unquote, I hate that word, personal demons. They're personal choices more
Oh,
than
yeah,
anything
yeah.
else. Addiction is a horrible thing, but they are, at the end of the day, decisions that grown-ups make. You know, there's a guy, he's just so good, so smooth. He's someone that should be down at that performance center training the guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's a shame that
But
he's...
there again, they're going to punish him,
Yeah.
and because they can.
Right.
They can. They see less value in Marty
Oh, sure.
than they see in Shawn, of course.
Oh, absolutely.
So if the roles were reversed, it would be Shawn on the outside.
Right. Yep. Yep.
So.
Yeah. But also at that set of tapings was the debut of a guy that, again, I think almost like with the Rockers, maybe too young, maybe too soon to bring into WWE, because he was given a monster push once he was brought in. Bam Bigelow.
Bam, yeah.
His first run, big push, put into main events, and then gone pretty quick within a year.
And what was the reason for him leaving? I don't remember.
I just think it was a poor attitude.
Yeah.
I think he was young. I think it went, a lot of guys that have done interviews with us have said it went to his head. But I mean, what a great, agile big man.
Yeah.
I remember as a kid, as a fan, not knowing what went on in locker rooms and things like that, I thought, this big, heavy-set guy. I mean, you didn't see Bundy and one-man gang doing cartwheels and flying like that.
I mean, he had good ability. We weren't. He was probably in most of the towns that we weren't in at the time.
Right.
They were running 2 and 3 towns.
Oh, yeah, and even sometimes D towns.
Yeah.
When it got hot.
So I wasn't aware that he came in and left and then came back.
Yeah, he was there from 87 to 88, and then he came back for a second run from 92 to 95.
Okay.
And in that first run, I mean, he even did, I'm sure we'll talk about it in 88, but that the night in professional wrestling when 33 million people on NBC watched Hogan and Andre on the main event. The day after, they did a matinee in Boston and then sold out, and then sold out Philadelphia that night. It was Andre and DiBiase, holding the title hostage against Hogan and Bam Bam. So, I mean, he was in some plum positions.
Oh, yeah.
And then by that spring, out the door.
Well,
but
you never know. I mean, there again, like I said.
What did you think of Bam Bam? Did you have any interactions with him in locker rooms, or did you ever have a chance to work him?
No, we never worked with him. We had a tour overseas that he was on with us. We just never really associated. You'd be in a restaurant or something like that, but you have conversation with him in the dressing room. But he was always fine with us.
Through your observation, did you find him maybe to have an attitude or an ego, or to maybe be a little immature?
Not immature. I think that in order to be successful in this business, you have to have confidence, and sometimes that confidence comes out as an ego. You have to have a confidence in your ability, but you also have to be aware that there's other people around you that,
Right.
They're just as confident, or they wouldn't be there. You can't be arrogant. You can't talk down to people. I didn't notice that. Maybe he thought we were on the same level as him. I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah. Well, it was, to me, it was just disappointing, because there was a guy I really enjoyed, and then by the end of 1988, he wound up popping up in NWA, and even that was kind of a short run. I think he worked Starrcade '88 with Barry Windham, and by '89, again, he kind of vanished off the map. I know he was very, very successful in Japan for a period of time, but again, we'll get there as time goes on. But I got the cue from the back, Bill. Another episode is come and gone. We continue not to make much headway through 1987. It was like, if you knew how many episodes it took Marty and I to get through their return in 1988 through the end of 1989, probably 30, 35 episodes. So this is going to be our challenge, to see how long it takes Bill and I to get through 1987, because there's a lot of interesting people, a lot of interesting anecdotes that go along with trying to tell these stories the right way. And we're having a lot of fun doing it, folks. We hope you're enjoying it just as much. Of course, if you're watching the premiere with Bill and I, the chat box is open. Share your thoughts. If you're not watching live, share your thoughts in the comment section below. We love to know what you're thinking. The super chat button is open for business. Help us keep the lights on in this studio so we can bring you more great interviews, more great content. And of course, we've always noted there's a ton of things you can do that will not cost you anything but a second of your time. Give the video a thumbs up if you like it. Let YouTube know you're enjoying what we're doing. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. That is free. It tells YouTube you like the content, and they'll showcase our videos to more and more new fans that don't know we exist. We need to continue to build up what we're doing. I would like to ultimately turn this series into almost like those talk shows you see nightly on CNN. Imagine if we could have not one original talk show a night. Imagine if we could have two. Imagine if we could have three. Think of the income that we could add to some of the great legends and veterans' lives that could really use it.
Think of the hours that you'd be working. There's only 24 in a day, my friend.
Maybe I could actually have someone help me. I feel like I belong in one of those horror movies, and the spirit on the inside of me is going to write, I don't remember what the movie was, but it'll write, help me on my, maybe it was The Exorcist, help me on my forehead from the demon that has possessed me, that is my work ethic. And again, folks, don't forget the eBay store is open for business. All that great merchandise on there. We'll give you an on-air shout-out as a thank you. Plus, again, it's not money we're padding our pockets with. It's money we're using to bring in great talent. And of course, more than anything, you're a friend of ours if you watch this show. We presume you're a fan of ours if you watch this show. But if you want to join the Boston Wrestling family, head on over to patreon.com/Boston Wrestling. You get early ad-free access to all of our Wrestling Insider talk shows. You get access to hundreds of studio shoot interviews that have been seen by millions online, millions more on the Howard Stern Show, thanks to the Sheik. You get some Patreon exclusive content, plus again, the knowledge that your fine self is helping keep wrestling legends working. And maybe most important, again, almost like a wedding, save the date, Saturday night, November the 13th, Memorial Hall, Melrose, Massachusetts. Again, check out BostonWrestling.com as we prepare for our 20th
anniversary, and we go back to the 80s. For my partner in crime, Bill Eady, I'm Dan Marty. We'll see you next time on Wrestling Inside. As you and yours be well, stay healthy. Good night.
Wrestling fans in the Northeast and beyond, the countdown is on to Boston Wrestling MWF's 20th anniversary extravaganza. Back to the 90s WrestleFest, Saturday night, November the 13th, at Memorial Hall in Melrose, Massachusetts. Live wrestling, an autograph photo fan fest, VIP exclusive Q&A, and more as we kick off our annual Paul Bearer Holiday Headlocks Toy Drive. You'll see and meet 90s legends featuring guests such as WWE Hall of Famers Hacksaw, Jim Duggan, and Bob Backlund, Marty Jannetty, the Doctor of Style Slick, the Berzerker, the second Doink the Clown, Duke the Dumpster Droese, and Portuguese man of war Aldo Montoya, plus JTG of Cryme Time, John Cena Sr., and our Vice President Oscar from Men on a Mission. VIP packages and tickets are on sale now at bostonwrestling.com. We'll see you live November 13th in Melrose. Thank you for joining us. Please give the video a big thumbs up, leave us a comment, and subscribe to the channel to enjoy more great content. Don't forget, you can help keep wrestling legends working. Check out our eBay store and join the Boston Wrestling family at patreon.com/Boston Wrestling so we can produce more in-depth shoot interviews.